In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to create a micro application that uses GPT-3. To build this, we're going to use a tool called Softr, and I'm going to show you an example of the output right now. So we're going to have a very, very simple landing page. You can add more complexity if you want. This is just a template for me. And when we log in, what we'll be able to see is some kind of login homepage. I just created a prompt or a call to action for the user to generate, and this application generates interview questions for podcasters. What they have to do is complete the form that they have to input their email, they have to input the genre, and they have to input the number of questions they want to generate. They click submit. It does some complex actions in the background, and it generates a prompt like this, and it generates the 3 questions for them. What we have in the background is Airtable, and we have a couple columns here. So we have prompt, which is a formula column, and this is the prompt getting sent to OpenAI. We have the number of questions, which is an input column. If we jump back and go back to generate, you can see number of questions here. Genre, again, if we jump back, you can see the genre, which is an input. The completion, which is the result of the generated questions from OpenAI. This is what actually displays here. And the email, so we can tie each input to a particular user. Lastly, what we have is this is all tied together using Make. So Make is an automation platform that makes it really efficient to connect applications without coding. And what we have is a custom webhook that listens to anything that Softr says. So we have this form here. This sends the data to the custom webhook here. And this custom webhook sends the data to OpenAI to generate the questions. Then OpenAI sends the result back to Make, and that goes to Airtable to create a new record. So all the new records here are created from that same workflow. The first thing we want to do to get started is to create a free account with Softr, and we're going to create a new blank project. So when you log in, you have the opportunity to create an application or a new application. We're going to click that, and we're going to select blank application. You are going to connect your Airtable key, and then after you connect your Airtable key, it will provide you with some pre-built pages for you. So I believe I kept all of these pages except list details, and I kept all the others, just because we're creating a very, very simple application. So when we click that, what we get here is this template, and we are going to make some slight adjustments to this template just to reduce the amount of things that are here. And I'm going to start by removing this section. I'm going to continue by removing these menu options. Again, you can keep these menu options here, but for the sake of the tutorial, I just want to reduce the amount of noise that's there. And I think I actually removed too many. So if we can go, we're gonna need links, and we're gonna need we're gonna need a generate. To need completions. why we see these two menus here is because Softr makes it really easy to add visibility conditions. So what we can actually see, this particular menu, if we go to visibility, this menu is only visible to logged in users. If we go to this menu is visible to non-logged in users. That's why you can see a sign in, sign up button. And if we go back, what we're actually going to do is remove these pages. And we have the sign in button links to the sign in page. The sign up button links to the sign up page. So that's perfect. That's exactly how we want it. I'm just going to change this title and say something like GPT-3 integration tutorial with Softr. And I just maybe want to change this call to action to sign in. Add another one that says sign up. And what I'm going to do is just link these to the pages, the sign in and sign up button. So link that one to the sign up, link this one to the sign in. Perfect. And so what we're going to do next is add another screen for the logged in users. So this is the home page for the non-logged in users. We want to add a screen for the logged in, or a home page for the logged in users. So I believe the home page I used was similar to a hero text, or maybe I had a call to action. So yeah, we're just going to put this call to action, and because this is just a very straightforward tutorial, we're going to say get started by selecting the button below. We want to remove that. We want to select button and select generate. The most important thing here is we want to change the visibility conditions to logged in users. And we want to change the visibility conditions from this first homepage to non-logged in users. So now non-logged in users will be able to see this first part. Logged in users will be able to see this second part. We have this button that says generate, but we don't have a generate page yet. So that's the next thing we'll work on. The generate page we're going to use is currently called form. So we are going to jump to that. And obviously it says this is a form. I'm going to change the title to generate your interview questions below. Go ahead and remove that. And so what we have, we're going to work on this destination. What we want to do next for this form to work is to set up our make integration. So we want to jump to make really quick. We want to create an account and we want to create something like this. So I will walk you through the first step of custom webhook so we can continue filling in our form. So I'm going to go home. I'm going to create a new scenario and I'm going to select the plus icon. And what I want to type in is webhook. And it will be the first one that says webhook. And it will be custom webhook. It will ask you to choose a hook, but you're probably going to add one. You're going to name it I'm just going to call it Softr integration. Let's just add some additional context here. And so now I have a webhook. So all I have to do is copy that address to my clipboard. And now when we go back to our form, what I want to do is scroll down, select send to make. It's going to allow us to adjust all these fields. But what we want to do is paste our webhook right here. And then we want to click here to send the test data. We want to make sure make is actually listening for this data. So what we're going to do is click run once. We're going to click run once. Now it's actually waiting for the data. So when we go back, we want to click here and send test data. We're going to go back and we can see it was successful. The scenario was completed. Obviously, there's more steps we want to run in this scenario in Make, but what we're doing is allowing Softr to determine the data structure. And what we want to do now, and what you will actually be able to see in Make is if we click there, we'll see that it's sent the name, email, phone, company name, company size, message, which is actually what the form has here. But what we want to do is change this form, and we're going to say we want the email. We're just going to say your email. What we want is the number. So let's see if we can find number. So I think number would just be text, and it will say number of questions. And the label is going to be number of questions. We're just going to put number of questions here in the placeholder. We're going to make it required. We're also going to have genre. We're going to have genre right here and genre right here. We're going to make that required. So what we do need to do is allow Softr to send test data again so it can redetermine the structure. We have to remember to run this because this is not actively running right now. So I'm going to do process existing. And what you can see is sent some placeholder for email. It's sent placeholder for a question and placeholder for a genre. So we know that's working. What we have here too is our almost completed form. We do want to make one slight change. So right here is the on form submit. It shows a message and it says thank you. I want to say visit the completions page to view the results for completions. And automatically redirect them to the completions page, but I'm just going to show this message. But we do need a completions page. So at the top, we have completions, but we don't actually have that page. So what we're going to do is go to pages, and before we actually edit the completions page, we are going to change the name of this page from form to generate. So if I change this to generate, and I change the URL to generate. So I think that works. We might have to make some adjustments to the links on the homepage, but we'll come to that later. Our list page is what will be our completions page. So we can get rid of this beginning or this end part. What we see here is our list, and it's asking to be connected to a source. We don't yet have a source, and also we're not going to use this list. So what we're going to do is remove this list type, and we're going to go to dynamic, and you can see it's asking about suggested blocks. And what I want is, I think I want something like this, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, I think I want something like this. We are going to make adjustments to this because we don't have an image, we don't have tags, we don't have all this information. We just have a header and text. So we're going to remove all of this, and we're also going to remove the tags at the top. But what we do want to do is to set up our Airtable base. So at the beginning, I showed you something like this. This is what we want to set up. You can create a free account with Airtable. And when you create a new base, what you want to be able to do is create these columns. So you want to create a prompt column, a number of questions column, a genre column, completion, email, created time. You want to make sure your Airtable base looks similar to mine, in that I have a prompt column, and that prompt column is a formula, and it's concatenated from the number of questions and the genre, and this is the formula that I've used to concatenate it. Number of questions is obviously a number type. Genre is just a single line text. Completion is a single line text. Email is an email type. Created time is the created time type. And once you've created that, what you then can do is go back to Softr. What we want to do is select a data source. You've connected your Airtable key already. What we then want to do is connect it to a base. So my base is called GPT-3 interview tutorial. My base is called table 1. And I'm using the grid view. And so now we can make some changes to this. So if we go to features, we can start to remove image or hide image because we don't have an image. For the heading, what we want to do is map that to prompt. What we want to map to the rich text is the completion, if I can find it, there. And we want to remove everything else because everything else is irrelevant for what we're using this list for. So we hid everything else. The tags are still showing. So I'm going to hide the tags too. And also we want to remove the categories because we don't have categories for this. So I'm just going to delete that. And what we have here is displaying anything that's in this Airtable base is going to be displayed by Softr in our front end. So just to review what we have, the last thing we want to do is to change this from the page name from list to completions. And we want to double check that all the links are in order. So if we go home, we don't have this link to generate. So what we want to do is link it to generate. We have the sign in, sign up. We want these home links. We want this to go to generate to. We want completions to go to completions. and home to go to home. What we're going to do is just check the visibility of the generate and completions page. So we're going to go to pages. We're going to go to settings on the generate page and just look at the visibility. Right now, all users can view this generate page, even though they can't access it through the menu. If they know the URL, they could actually go to it. So we only want logged in users to be able to view it, and we want to save that. And the same thing with the completions page. Visibility only to logged in users. So now we're almost finished on our front end. I'm going to name the application. So we built our homepage, we added the visibility conditions. We have our generate page. We have our completion page, and it's tied to our Airtable database. And there's something here that we're also missing. So in our database, we added email, and right now it's just going to display everything. We want to filter this list to only show the logged in users' entries. So what we're going to do is here, conditional filters. It says show list items to the users that match all of the following conditions. And we want email to say that it's the logged in users' email. So now it will only show the items that are where the email is equal to the logged in user's email. The last thing we want to do to turn this into a working application is we want to tie this together with Make. So right now, Make is just listening for the webhook, but it's not actually sending any data to OpenAI. So we want to add another module. We want to add OpenAI. And we want to do create a completion. But as you can see, it can do an edit, it can do a moderation, and it can generate an image, which can be especially interesting. So we want to generate a completion, and you have to select the model. So we want to use this model. We want to use a prompt. So the prompt we want to use be something like this. We want to create a list of, it's going to say number of questions. If I actually want to create a list of number of questions, and we're going to continue the string questions for my interview with a, we're going to add the genre and say author. So we're going to just remove this from my previous project. And that will be our prompt. We want to set a max tokens, 200 should be fine. And we don't actually have to do the rest of this. So just ignore the rest of this, and we don't have to go into the details of what all of this actually is. The last thing we want to do is connect this to Airtable. So we want to send the results from OpenAI to Airtable. And what we want to do is to create a record. So I am automatically connected to my Airtable, but you will have to add your Airtable connection. I'm going to go to base, go to GPT-3 interview tutorial, which is the base, add the table 1. And as you can see, it automatically pulls up all the columns, almost all the columns that are here. So number of questions would be the original number of questions here. The genre would be the genre here. The completion, which is the important part, here you have to get that from OpenAI GPT-3. You have to go to choices and get the text. That is the completion. An email is going to be the original email from the webhook. So here, this is our completed workflow. We want to actually try to test this. And to test this, we're going to have to publish our application or our front end application with Softr. So we're going to publish our front end application with Softr. We're just going to give it a subdomain name. If you want to add a custom name, you're going to have to upgrade with Softr. But let's call this GPT-3 interview tutorial. I'm going to publish that. Once that publishes, we're going to open it. And as you can see, this is our home landing page. Not particularly exciting right now. You can add more customization if you have more time. We don't have an account, so we can't sign in. But if we just click that just to see what happens, it takes us to the sign in page. That is the Softr's default sign in page. We are going to click sign up. And I'm actually going to create an account and sign up. Agree to the terms, sign up. And you can see it automatically takes me to this beginning homepage where it says get started by selecting the button below. And that takes me to the generate page. Now, what I do is type in my email. I select a list of questions. I select a genre, let's just say basketball. And then click submit. And what it does, it sends it to the webhook. So right now, my webhook is not running automatically. I haven't turned it on yet. So if I just click run once, it knows there's something in the queue. And what I can do is process existing. And what it's going to do is gone through GPT-3. It's gone to Airtable. Now, what I can do is actually check Airtable. And I can see it's added that. So I can see the list of questions, 3, the genre basketball. It has the completion there. So if I expand this, I can see my completion there. What inspired you to become a basketball author? What are the biggest challenges you faced in writing your basketball content? What advice would you have for aspiring basketball authors? I have my email here. I have my creative time. I have everything I need. I can see the prompt that was actually sent here. Create a list of 3 questions for my interview with a basketball author. And now if I go back to my front end, I should be able to go to completions. And what I can see here is create a list of 3 questions for my interview with a basketball author, and it shows those 3 questions. So this is your completed tutorial. In a very, very short amount of time, you have learned how to integrate AI with Softr and Airtable using Make. I'm fascinated to see what you would actually build now that you know this.